Alrighty, welcome to the 141st edition of the MMA Circus here on BloodyElbow.com and, of course, live on YouTube. My name's Nick Baldwin. He is Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence, and as always, we are your hosts for today. Andrew, I say this almost every week now, but it's been 2 weeks. It's been a couple weeks. You went down to LA, LAX, Los Angeles. How was that? You said business venture. I beg to differ.
Well, you always got to mix business and pleasure, Nicholas. Like, if I can impart any wisdom on you in life, it would be that. Like, anytime you're doing some business, throw in some pleasure. I had a great time. I did a taco truck tour of LA. I researched and found, some pretty elite taco spots that I had to go to, and I think I ate like a solid. Yeah, I think I ate a solid seven. No, I ate 9 tacos. 9 tacos that day.
Over the course of the whole trip or just one day? Because I hope
that was one day of taco. That was one day of taco consumption.
Good.
Yeah, come on. I thought I was going to go eat more, but like as I went to the next spot, because I stopped at every spot getting 2 tacos, right? Because you can't just order 1 taco. That seems fucking weird, man. But then when I got to the 5th place, I was like, man, my belly is fucking full of tacos, dude. And I ordered 1 taco, and then I went to another place that was in walking distance from this place, and I was about to get another one, and I was like, if I eat another taco, I may vomit. I gotta just go home.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, tacos are not usually filling, but depending how much you have on them and also the quantity in your case, I mean, 9 is enough. It's gonna fill you up.
Well, this ain't like some bitch-ass Canadian Winnipeg tacos. This is like California taco truck culture. There's so much goddamn meat on these little mini tortillas. Yeah, I mean, have you ever even had like, proper street style tacos? They're just corn tortillas, and they're kind of pretty small. And then it's just meat, and then usually like cilantro and onions are on that, and then maybe some or maybe it's like marinated onions instead of cilantro and onions, and that's it. Like that's how tacos are.
No cheese.
And then you can add no. You see, that's the thing. That's like really
that's American.
Yeah, it's an American taco. To get it like really good off the truck. In some places, add cheese in like creative ways, and it's fun. And I don't want to hate on people. I've ate cheese on my taco before. It's fun, but like, nah, a real taco doesn't have cheese.
Yeah, I guess just used to the Canadian and American way.
I mean, you're eating crunchy tacos too, right?
Well, no, we're soft usually.
Oh, you're at home? Do you guys do taco night?
Quite often.
Really? That's like a go-to staple of the
Baldwin household
diet. Yeah, that's crazy. Yes. I wouldn't peg Winnipeg. But it's like just a meal that you could put together quick, and that's why
it's easy to make, pretty much.
Oh, you make taco night. So what kind of tacos are you throwing down?
Usually, well, we do like sometimes tacos, sometimes fajitas. With tacos, it's ground beef. Pretty
just
simple,
ground
pretty
beef.
boring.
See, that's the thing. Yep. Okay.
But with fajitas, it's chicken. So you have chicken, onion, pepper, not like
peppers, green peppers.
Yeah, exactly.
Red peppers, a whole mix.
And then, of course, you have to add the cheese to Americanize it. It can't be too cultural.
I don't know. I'm with you. If you're, I don't know. Fajitas, I wouldn't eat cheese with fajitas. Maybe. I don't know.
The thing is, I love cheese. I can eat cheese with just about anything, and so it just makes it 10 times better for me.
That's the American model right there in a nutshell. That's exactly why there's cheese on tacos. Well, you guys are just like circumventing our.
Yeah, we just copy you guys pretty much.
Yeah, we bastardized someone's thing, and then everyone was like, "Hey, those American." That's all we end up doing with anything. We take your meal, we add cheese to it, and then we call it something new.
We have the same culture. We're just a bit colder, and we don't have a psycho as our leader.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You dodged that bullet.
Yes, we did. Winnipeg is in the headlines this weekend. If you're an MMA fan.
Hey, must be showing out, baby.
The Winnipeg is a, I can't even say it's a popular place right now because like the media coverage here is going to be pretty low, but at least Winnipeg, you see it on MMAfighting.com. The headline, getting Winnipeg some exposure, and Winnipeg needs that exposure. MMA fighting is going to bring a lot of traffic to Winnipeg.
So, I think there's a lot of tickets left for this Winnipeg show. Yeah, I might give it a Google. Well, it's a good opportunity for people. I would figure there's not shit else going on right now. So why wouldn't you drop it? Or are the tickets like super expensive? Do you know how much they were, Nick?
Well, I mean, I got pretty good tickets, and they were like $150-ish. That's
Okay,
Canadian too. That's Canadian.
Are you on the floor level, or are you in the one level up?
We're one up from the floor.
That's perfect. You did it smart. Have I told you my seating at UFC?
No, but good minds think alike. Because I wouldn't want to be on the floor. Unless you're super up close, you can't say shit on the floor.
Fucking Nicholas, I swear to God, like, you're getting smarter over the years. You're getting wise in your age. Of course.
Skip a week, talk to Jed. He's the one who informs me, and then I come back to you and impress you.
Oh, Jed brought this up. I see how it is.
Speaking of Jed, last week's show, we got more down votes than up votes.
That's how bad Jed is. That's how bad Jed is.
People, let me just say, I usually say this for them, but right down there, give us a thumbs up, preferably not a thumbs down, unless you just think this is god awful. Then, be my guest, I guess. But thumbs up, like us, subscribe, comment. We appreciate it. It helps us a lot.
Here's a 2-step process, viewers, to get a free taco. 1, give us a thumbs up. 2, travel to New York City, find me, and I will buy you a free taco for giving us a thumbs up. Holler.
Taco with cheese or not? I feel like a taco
no cheese. We're getting it from my man, the taco truck. It's super authentic. I will let you get guacamole on it. I'm throwing that out there. Free guac.
They are more inclined now. Okay, so before we get to Winnipeg and the shenanigans going down this Saturday here in the Peg, let's talk about last week's UFC Fight Night 123. Went down from Fresno, California. We had Brian Ortega tap out Cub Swanson in the second round with a guillotine. It was one of the better submissions all year, all of 2017, I think, simply because, a guillotine is a basic submission. We see it quite often, but he was clinging on to Swanson. But also the most impressive part about Ortega's performance is just he readjusted himself. He literally let go of the guillotine very quickly, very momentarily, without even touching the ground. He was still attached to Swanson, completely not grounded, and he latched it on even tighter, forcing the tap. That was an incredible fight, incredible performance.
Yeah, that's just, you could tell how often he had just drilled being in that kind of a position, just had experience grappling like that, and just how comfortable he was in his squeeze. Like, he had already given squeeze, which some people might have, burnt their arm out. Like, it was just for him control until he found the right grip. And if you notice in that one moment where he lets go of the grip to readjust, Cub recognizes it too and does the right defense, does the best job you can do to block that person from reattaching his grip. But Ortega's like a step ahead of him, waits for him to do it, move his arm, right? Because he reattaches it and he's trying to get it. So Cub moves his arm and he works around it. Like, he knew it was coming, and he didn't even and think about how hard that is, because his head's on the other side, holding onto a choke that he's, been latched onto, super upper body strength, super technique. I love fights like that. I like that jiu-jitsu is still that relevant in modern MMA.
Yeah. Brian Ortega, I know this might just be biased due to how recent the fight was, but he has some of the best jiu-jitsu in the UFC.
Damian Maia-esque, dare I say?
No, it's actually quite different, because Maia is a lot more get on
take
top
him down,
and just
get the mounts, grab you with the rear naked choke. Yeah, he's a little bit more crafty.
More efficient. Yeah, very more dynamic. I think that's even a better word.
Maybe it's just that Brian Ortega is much more apt to strike it out with you a little bit, to bang a little bit, and then wait for those jiu-jitsu openings to exist in your stand-up game, which is probably, imagine if 5 years in the future, that's just how MMA is. As striking, as fluid as boxing strikes are now, will be people going for, guillotine attempts like Brian Ortega did. That'd be awesome. That's a future I want to sign up for.
I feel like Damian Maia is more traditional based, and I don't know the technique as much as, a Luke Thomas or whoever, but I feel like Maia is more traditional, and Ortega, you can almost relate him to an EBI. You have the EBI grappling tournaments on Fight Pass where it's very dynamic, a lot of different reversals, a lot of movement. That's sort of what Ortega is more based around, I feel.
Well, yeah, he's like the Henry Gracie school, which is much more modern in what's going on in MMA. Whereas you're right, Maia is looking for more traditional stuff. I'm not that he hasn't evolved his jiu-jitsu game, but I think his improvements have just been to get the takedown, to then allow himself to be able to grapple. But yeah, he likes it on the ground strictly. Yeah, Brian Ortega is an impressive kid. I'm really excited that he won this fight. I'm glad that he's adding some fresh air and some new blood into 145, because Max Holloway all of a sudden kind of looks like a man, without a challenger. He beats Frankie Edgar right now. It's what else are we doing?
and it's Brian Ortega. I mean, Brian
Really?
Ortega versus Max Holloway is going to happen within the next 365 days, I think.
Yeah, most likely, because I imagine Brian takes one more fight.
Probably Ricardo Lamas if he beats Josh Emmett this weekend.
And I love that. That's a fantastic matchup, and I think it's a great matchup to make. Because if Lamas wins and won impressively, you could use it as an argument to make that rematch between him and Max Holloway. Should Max Holloway beat Frankie Edgar? Lamas Edgar makes sense too, but you might do a rematch depending on how the fight goes. So it gives it just adds more options.
Holloway Edgar is for sure going to happen next.
Yeah, exactly.
And so
that's what I'm saying. Depending on who the winner is of Holloway Edgar, either way, a winner of an Ortega Lamas fight could be a contender. It just adds a lot of new good options into the mix.
Yeah, and personally, early prediction, I think Holloway beats Edgar.
Yes,
not completely with ease, but I think it's a rather clear performance. Just outstriking him for the most part. And then I would probably honestly favor Ortega over Lamas. That's a tough one, but I would lean Ortega. And so with that in mind,
I would think Brian Ortega beats Ricardo Lamas too.
And then with that, I mean, there you go, Holloway versus Ortega for the title. But anything can happen. But Ortega is definitely right there. Like he's at least, I mean, he said he's willing to wait. Like he could actually sit out on the sidelines for a little bit. I mean, he's had a pretty active UFC run in general. He's had a couple fights this year. I know some people have been more active than him, but if he wants a break, I mean, go for it.
Sure. I mean, I'd rather see him get, his profile up a little bit. He needs, he kind of needs to build himself up because that's going to end up being a main event and stuff. You gotta get that star power really cooking.
The thing is,
make money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think he ends up sitting out until Holloway Edgar is finished, just because he's a fighter. At the end of the day, he loves to fight. Most fighters, I should say, 99% of them love to fight. And so why are they going to sit out? And it's not a guarantee. If Ortega sits out for a little bit, goes on vacation for 4 months, 5 months, that he's going to get the winner of Holloway Edgar.
Forget about stuff. You got to keep yourself relevant. That's the one big question about when we talk about Nick Diaz and his rematch with Conor McGregor. It's like waiting out this much is actually kind of hurting his profile a little bit. People like to be refreshed to know what fighters are doing. I think that Brian Ortega probably gets scheduled for a fight in a fight night card or in a co-main event of a good card that's around the same time as Edgar Holloway.
And if they're smart, if the UFC can line it up perfectly, they do it on the same card because it makes sense time-wise, but also if Holloway or Edgar get hurt, then you bump up one of Lamas or Ortega.
Hey, it looks like you've learned a thing or two in all the years of covering MMA.
I've learned a couple
Nicholas
things
today, guys. He's the brain on this kid. Come on.
Don't worry, we still have about 45 minutes left, and
for you to fuck it up.
That's a lot of time for me to go way down and end the show on a very bad note. So you might have just jinxed it.
Because this is a Winnipeg card, I just typed in accidentally onto my computer here Winnipeg, and I have in front of me the history of Winnipeg on Wikipedia.
Nice.
Winnipeg, current population 705,000 people.
Not bad. We're growing.
Oh my goodness. People, escape while you can. 7th largest city in all of Canada. Escape it.
Why? Other than the cold.
You answered your own questions.
It's a pretty good reason. It's a pretty good reason. I
it's
mean,
not the fucking tundra.
I'll be escaping next year, most likely, but not too much. Not to somewhere much better.
Yeah, not too much better climates. Although Toronto, it's a lively city.
Yes, Winnipeg, not so much. Winnipeg, I was there. I was downtown. So I live about 25 minutes from downtown. Mm-hmm. Downtown is kind of making a comeback, but it's still a pretty bad part of the city.
There isn't a thriving, fun downtown with
no. It's like it's not the north end. The north end's you don't go.
You don't go there.
Sort of. Downtown, yeah, I'm around. So
yeah, you went robot on me a little bit there, but yeah, so you don't go to the north end. Yeah, there's a bad part of town, scary part. Yeah, I don't know. That's the one great charming part of the city. You want a nice downtown where you can walk around, be on your feet, and enjoy some shit, go see some sights.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto. That's what Toronto is really good for. I mean, I'm
That's a
so
good
used
city to walk around.
I'm so used to shitty downtowns where if I feel like I go anywhere and it's downtown, I'm thinking, oh, is this a sketchy place? And no, it's not. But I'm just so used to Winnipeg. I mean, Winnipeg in general isn't a bad city, but I mean, like any city, it has its bad parts.
Yeah.
So
Nicholas is scared of tall buildings and concrete
yeah,
streets.
there's not too many tall buildings, but you know, just enough to.
There has to be at least like 3 tall buildings.
Yeah, there's a few.
Just a couple. Okay.
But I would guess that pretty much every tall building in New York City in Manhattan is way taller than like the tallest building here.
Okay, let's move on to talking about anything else that happened on the Fresno card, and I'll look up the tallest building in the city of Winnipeg.
The only thing other, I want to go talk a little bit about Jason Knight. Great performance from Gabriel Benitez. He went in as a sizable underdog, shocked a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people have been high on Jason the Kid Knight, including myself. I knew Benitez had a chance. There's a reason I put him on my DraftKings team. Part of it was just I needed an underdog, and he was the cheapest on DraftKings. But had him on there anyways. It went well, of course. Got the decision, appointed him on the feet. Knight, though, the more specifically what I want to sort of touch on. Knight he looked off. Jason Knight looked a lot very, very, it was not a good performance, and I'm not sure that's just because Benitez is a better fighter. I wonder if Jason Knight is a guy who he has one bad fight, takes a lot of damage, and that sort of just changed his career forever, and not in a good way. Like the Ricardo Lamas fight, he took a lot of damage. That could have been stopped a bit earlier. Lamas was put in the wood to him, and finally he got that, TKO win, I think, in the first round. But Jason Knight took a lot of damage in there. I wonder if it was just a little too much, and he might have, the still suffering from that a little bit, because he just looked off. It's not like I don't know. It's really hard to explain, but that was my first thought when seeing his performance.
I don't know. I don't want to write him off. I really think
speculation. So take it for what it's worth. We have no proof or anything, far from it.
No, of course.
That's sort of what my gut feeling was while watching.
I don't know. When I watched it, I think we just got too high and too sold on Jason Knight. You can have a great night and styles make fights. He's not the fastest guy with his hands, and he seems to have to rely on being in a slugfest. He has to, listen, I love the Diaz brothers, but that quintessential Diaz brothers style doesn't really work in the MMA, not in 2017. The fact that Nate and Nick, or just basically Nate a couple years ago, can still employ it and still make it work is kind of some of the charm of who they are. Jason Knight doesn't move his head. He kind of, he keeps his hands low. It's like the fundamental things. And yes, he has to be able to take a beating. He can't fight the way he does at the level that he does unless he can take an absolute beating. Because he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit by everybody. And I think a dude like Ricardo Lamas just maybe didn't have the pop to put him down. Whereas a dude like Benitez just hurt him enough consistently. And he's a younger, more powerful guy probably. And just hit him enough and repeatedly early to just make him 2 steps behind the whole fight. And that's all she wrote. The tallest building in Winnipeg is 201 Portage. It is 128 meters high, 420 feet for all you stoners.
And how does that compare to the average skyscraper in New York City?
Jesus Christ. Now, I got to Google these things, man.
All right, so I'll move on and to talk about Marlon Rice. Wow. He went in there and starched Aljamain Sterling early in round 1. It looked live like it was a head kick, but it ended up being a knee. Aljamain Sterling was out cold, and he was out for a little while, more than most fighters are. It was a scary scene. I mean, Marlon Rice looked fantastic. We didn't see much of either fighter, of course. So it's it's not like Rice put a five round beating on Aljamain Sterling, but he still looked damn good. A lot better than I think his previous 2 fights. They were split decisions, and not even that Rice looked great or that his performance was much better, but in the UFC's eyes, in our eyes, we see first round knockout dead's a guy versus a split decision that could have gone either way twice. This was a big win for Marlon Rice.
Yeah, huge win for Marlon Rice. Only because also just a KO like that makes impact, and not just the impact on what happened to Anjos' face, but it has resonance. It goes on in social media, it continues. People talk about it. That's an eye-opening, scary-ass TKO, and that makes someone dangerous in the division, and especially in a division like 135 that doesn't have a lot of people who are going to shut you out like that. God, man. Actually, that's not true. You got Cody No Love. You got a couple people who are now like true knockout people. The champion, of course, TJ Dillashaw. But anyway, like that's instantly the company that you start keeping when you have a performance like that. So, Marlon Moraes, he was a person where you weren't quite sure where he was gonna fit in. He's coming over from WSOF. He was their champion for a while, but that really doesn't say much. He was fighting cans, man. Dropped that one to a sunset, but then looked dangerous. But that was a close fight against John Dodson, and I think that John Dodson could have won the fight. But this is a bad style matchup for Aljamain Sterling, and it showed, and it was beautiful and brutal.
Despite what I told you on Twitter just before it happened, I still picked Marlon Moraes. Let me make that clear, but I thought it would be a lot closer than what went down.
You were the one telling me that Aljamain Sterling's kick game was going to stop Marlon Moraes.
For what it's worth, the only reason I had that idea that Sterling might pull off the upset.
Are you going to blame Jed again?
You're damn right.
Come on. Jed. Dude, let's state right now, live on the MMA Circus, that Jed Meshew really doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about,
that
man.
He's banned from the MMA? No, he can't be banned from the MMA Circus.
We need a backup co-host because I'm not even here next week. I'm at Korean barbecue.
Nice. Thanks for letting me know in advance. We can't get rid of Jed for good just because you listeners don't want a show with just myself every 2 weeks. Let me tell you that.
If that happened, I would quit the show in protest just to let it die.
You'd fly to Winnipeg, picket right on my lawn.
No, just Sherry's gonna let me in the house, and then I'm gonna break your computer.
Nice. Okay, and that's the end of my MMA career.
It's over, and then I'm gonna just sit down and have a conversation with her and be like, "I think MMA is bad for your son," and I'm just gonna convince her. If I met your mom, I bet you in 2 hours I could convince her to forbid you from covering MMA.
And you're right, and I'm being dead serious. You probably could. You probably could.
It would definitely, because she would totally believe me.
Did you get the skyscraper stuff for NYC?
The average New York City skyscraper is between 40 and 50 floors. The tallest skyscraper in all of Winnipeg is 33 floors. The most floors in any of them is 38. So our average is higher than your tallest.
Nice. Not surprised whatsoever.
It shouldn't. That's the way it should be, But you guys do have maybe the sweetest looking city hall building I've ever seen. It looks like a goddamn.
It looks like.
Oh well, your old city hall. It looks like goddamn. That famous square in Moscow with all the Russian looking building tops. From Tetris. Have you ever played Tetris with the buildings?
No, I have no idea what.
Hey, Google shit, dog. Google shit. You don't know what Russian-looking buildings like this? The conical roofs with the little.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's what Jesus Christ. Now I'm looking like a fucking moron out here.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I'm looking at it. This was the old building, I guess.
You live in this city and you've never fucking seen that?
Nope.
Jesus Christ. Hey, people visiting for UFC Winnipeg, go down to the Old Town Hall. Check the sites. You'll know the city better than Nicholas, who lives there.
The five media members visiting Winnipeg for their card know more about the city than I do.
Okay, let's guess the 5 media members that will attend UFC Winnipeg. John Morgan.
Nope.
He's not there? Whoa, no. When John Morgan doesn't show up. When it's John Morgan's week off. Jesus, guys. God. Who's there then?
Well,
maybe Jose Young?
No. I mean, I don't think so, no.
Okay. Who do you know that's there?
You got Mike Bond.
Oh, okay.
So he's the guy from Junkie.
Junkie sent Bond. All right.
MMA India show sent Shamar Karsandhu.
Okay. Whoa.
Who I ate supper with yesterday.
Nice. Did he treat you, or did you have to pay your share?
I had to pay my share.
Oh, good. All right.
We got local TSN 1290 radio. Big Marv.
No Aaron. Aaron didn't show?
No, Aaron Bronstetter. Nope.
Go, Aaron. Fuck you, dude.
He's got a baby. He's got a family.
Only the big cards.
Paul Fontaine from the Wrestling Observer, who lives here. So
that doesn't count, really.
I wasn't credentialed. Robin Black, of course. Robin Black's going to be here.
Robin Black. Hey, that's good. I'm glad.
I saw him walking to the hotel last night. Didn't say hi because I was just off to interview someone. So
you snubbed Robin Black.
Yeah.
Sorry. Robin Black. Sorry, man. I'm sorry. This kid's got zero grace.
But you know what? One last thing about this Fresno card, then we'll go right to Winnipeg. Andre Sukumta. Shout out to Andre Sukumta. This guy needed this win badly. He knocked out Luke Sanders in the second round. Great performance. Clean performance. Nice knockout, as you said. And if he didn't win, I don't think he would have been cut because it's two back-to-back split decisions. Then the loss of Sanders, who's a good fighter, destroyed Uriel Cantera early this year before, losing by submission. And I don't think he would have gotten cut, but there's still that chance. And so Sukumta, he needed this win, and, he definitely secured his UFC career.
Oh, no. Sukumta was definitely going to get cut if he lost this fight. You crazy?
Maybe.
Yeah, 3 straight losses. This is UFC, baby. They don't need 135-pounders. So, yeah, great win from him. Other people had good performances, too, if we're just, shouting them out. Eric Anders, he's the linebacker turned MMA fighter. I actually think he'll be pretty good at middleweight. He called out Lyoto Machida, though. That made me laugh.
It's a fight he could win.
At least he tried. Oh, he definitely win that fight. But he ain't going to get that fight.
No.
And at least he tried. He called out a big name that he knew he could beat up. I like where his head's at. I laugh at him, but, you ain't getting that fight. Let's be real.
Yep.
And then Scott Holtzman. He's been on the show, right? Hot Sauce?
Yeah, we talked to him a while ago.
Good. I'm glad that he's kind of right in the ship there and get it done. I mean, Daryl Hutch is good. Both those fighters are good fighters. It's hard to 155 pounds, but that's the thing. You could be a really good fighter and still be ranked 100th at 155 pounds. That's it's a hard gig, MMA fighting, bro.
My biggest memory with the Holtzman interview, that was one of the few interviews we did together. I remember when you came on board the MMA Circus, I was like, hey, we're going to do all these interviews together. And you're like, yep. And then
I was like, fuck that. Yeah, it takes too long. These fighters want to talk at stupid times, man. They don't have any, they don't keep normal human schedules. Time.
You can barely do the show, so you certainly can't do these interviews. But the biggest thing I remember from that, I wasn't rude about it, but I sort of kind of almost said, you're old. You're because at the time he's 32 and he's just making his debut. And then you're like, you should probably apologize to him. I'm like, yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea.
You basically said exactly that. Most people would have mentioned hey man, you started late in the game. You would so what's it like being really old and fighting? And I was like, Jesus, that's how you're going to ask that question? With zero tact, huh? All right. Okay.
I've learned perhaps.
Evolving. It's all a learning game, young Nicholas.
All right. Well, let's move on to UFC on Fox 26. Goes down from the peg. We finally talked something good about Winnipeg because I don't care what you say. This is a great card, and it's going down here in Winnipeg. Usually it's about the cold weather, but now we got some fights. First UFC card here in 4.5 years. The media turnout, before we get to the card, I just want to say a few things. The media turnout, as we just went over, not very good. So that's unfortunate. Ticket sales, as I think we said off air, might have been on air already. I don't remember. Aren't going so well. I checked out a map for the ticket sales a few days ago, and there's a lot of available seats. So perhaps they'll fill up, but not going to be a sellout, and I don't think it'll come close. One thing though, so I've explained to you, I think already, that I wasn't credentialed for the card simply because I'm under 18, right?
You told me about it. You've told me about it on the show 8 times.
Probably, because it's still
endlessly. Everyone who's ever listened to the show knows you are upset about it.
The nice thing, though, and I'm not too mad about it. I understand it, but the nice thing is that I'm getting all the first interviews with whoever main card fighters I'm interviewing because media day is tomorrow, and anybody credentialed to the card cannot interview media day people before media day. The UFC will shut it down.
Really?
But they can't say anything to me. So I've talked to Glover Teixeira. I've talked to Josh Emmett, who's in the co-main event against Ricardo Lamas. No one else, during this week in person has talked to them.
How stupidly like overly controlling is that? You
Well,
know,
it's expected. It's the UFC.
UFC's stupid dumb. And what is like? Is Robin Black allowed to do his little like sit around the hotel thing and shit like that?
He did some with Tim Elliott, James Krause, but the thing, I guess it'd probably be okay for the prelim guys just because they aren't going to media day. Media day tomorrow is just the main card.
Just be main card fighters.
Yeah,
that makes
exactly.
sense.
But also, I think Robin Black, even if like they wouldn't even get pissed off at him because like he has done work for them. So
yeah, he's Robin Black. He's got the pass, man. He's got the swagger.
Exactly.
Yeah. So hit up the MMA Circus YouTube channel for all the interviews. You could first place interviews for all the main card fighters with one Nicholas.
Yes,
hold on. I actually think I watched one of your. Now that I'm racking my brain, I know earlier, but maybe this was before we were on air. That I said I hadn't listened to any of your interviews because I got to listen to you on this show. Why would I actually listen to your interviews? But I actually think I listened to your interview with Julian Marquez.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Because I never knew I didn't know who Julian Marquez was, so I was like, okay,
knocked out. You know Phil Hawes? He was
Yeah.
super hyped. Julian Marquez knocked him out with one of the best kicks and KOs of the year on Contender Series.
Oh shit! I probably even watched that on the.
It was the
Contender
fourth
Series.
episode. It was Hawes was really hurt. He was coming up, and Marquez timed that right high kick perfectly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, dope. So yeah, he got a little testy with you during that interview.
Just the Kansas City thing.
It is the Kansas City thing. Do you have any idea like what that was about?
I don't know why Kansas City hates Kansas, but
okay, what do you think? Like
Kansas City is like half in Kansas, half in Missouri, right?
Yeah, right. And there's just some weird rivalry across the state line because it's technically two different cities,
right? So typical
that are lying right on on the border with each other.
Typical Kansas people. I'm just gonna call it all Kansas.
But it's Missouri.
Yeah,
most of the cities in Missouri. Like the vast majority of it is in Missouri. The cool parts are definitely in Missouri.
It's funny though. I didn't even notice that until I watched it back until I was editing it the other day. Like I didn't like even when I was doing the interview,
that was the funniest part of the interview was like he was like you could tell he was like trying to like be genuinely upset, and you're like, I'm gonna wholesale ignore this shit.
And then I said like just a little bit later, the weather here in Winnipeg is a lot different than Kansas City.
Well, you could say Kansas. The other thing was you kept being like Kansas.
And he's
like,
I'm
not from fucking Kansas, B.
And then I said Kansas City after that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that I mean, go check out my interviews with Glover, with Josh Emmett. Those are both up. Other interviews with Nordine Taleb and whoever else I interviewed.
You know what? When you go through this, and hey, thank God this is a Fox card, so we only have 4 cards on the main card, and it starts at goddamn 9 o'clock in the fucking Eastern time zone, 8 o'clock probably in the peg. Thank fucking God. Can we just have MMA that is this? And then, like, here's the thing, guys. Like, I know we watch the preliminaries, but they're preliminary. They're optional. I've gone through with you guys. Go back in the old episodes if you want to learn how to, like, keep your sanity and be an MMA fan, like, and casually watch the prelims. But, the blueprint's out there. And then you want to hit 4 fucking main card fights. It takes 2 hours, and they're awesome fights. And we have time, if there's knockouts, for, like, cool hype packages for the next fight that's coming up. Awesome, great. I love the format of a 4-card fight, Fox card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, dude, I get to go to bed at midnight if I choose to. I could go out for dinner afterwards if I really want to be like, a wild, crazy person.
Yep. Well, anyways, let's get into this card. Starting a bit earlier than usual, as you said, because it's a big Fox card. And what a card, Winnipeg is being treated to.
How did Winnipeg swing this? What the fuck did you guys do?
It's genuinely surprising that,
of course.
For sure. Like, I am shocked that they are bringing a hardcore dream card to Winnipeg. Because this isn't stacked for the casual audience. No one really cares about Rafael dos Anjos or Robbie Lawler. No one knows who Ricardo Lamas. No one certainly knows who Mike Perry and Ponzinibbio are. But that's a hell of a fight, as we all know.
But, Robbie Lawler might have some decent mainstream awareness. Rafael dos Anjos to like a lesser degree. So like it's like a legitimate television program or
So it's a legit UFC card.
Yeah.
But I mean, let's be honest. Does anybody have mainstream audience other than Conor and Ronda Rousey? No.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta, like there's levels to what we're talking about when we talk about mainstream.
I'm under the belief that nobody is mainstream other than those two, and Ronda barely counts because she's not fighting anymore for the most part.
Yeah, right. Neither is Conor.
True. Yeah. There's no such thing as a mainstream MMA fighter as of now.
Yeah,
Conor McGregor is a boxer.
Yep, I'm with that. But you're right. It's great for people who know the sport. It's a great showcase for the sport to show someone, if you catch this randomly on Fox, this will probably be pretty exciting.
Yeah, it will be. I mean, as you said, if you're a guy who's never watched the UFC or MMA before and you tune in, you have nothing else to watch UFC Winnipeg, maybe you're a Winnipegger, you just didn't know about the card, you didn't go, didn't get tickets, and you're sitting at home doing nothing on a early Saturday evening. It's like, I don't know, 8:30 and Ponzinibbio Perry's on. It's in the second round. They're going back and forth. That's how you gain fans.
Jesus Christ, Ponzinibbio Perry. I have a feeling Mike Perry's going to lose this fight, but like, oh, God, is it just going to be awesome while it happens?
Yeah, this is a great card. Let us go through it. We'll start.
What do you want to start? You want to do some of these prelims? Nordine Talib's fighting Danny Roberts. I always like Nordine Talib. He's a better fighter than people give him credit for.
That's a good matchup. Danny Roberts has a good chance. Like, they're both good strikers.
I think that Talib edges it, but like and Nordine Talib is a Canadian too, right? He
was born in France, but he's an adopted Canadian.
Did we already talk about this?
We did.
Every single time I'll read the name Nordine Talib, I'll be like, is he real Canadian? And everyone's like, no, he's not a real Canadian. I'm like, yeah, I feel like he should be.
He's basically like Misha Serkinov. We look at Serkinov and think
he's not a real Canadian. Not a real Canadian.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Was he born? No, he was born not in there, but he moved as a young kid. Is that his deal?
Who, Serkinov or Tub?
Yeah, Serkinov.
Serkinov was born in Latvia.
Oh. I would move away from Latvia and think that Canada's awesome too.
Good point. So
Latvia's like where like Dr. Doom is from. Here, I'll run through prelims and we'll just mention random things and then slow us down maybe around Chad Laprise. Sure. Jordan Meehan's fighting Eric Silva, which is kind of a crazy ass fight in like a parallel universe. This was the main event of UFC Winnipeg. Like if their careers had gone in like alternating ways, Eric Silva would have been the biggest star in the world. Jordan Meehan was this hype Canadian prospect. Brazil versus Canada, the two brightest and best young guys had, not lost in a couple spots.
But instead, the feature fights pass early prelim, both on losing skids.
Man, it's interesting that Jordan Meehan's back and, fighting for the UFC after his weird retirement. Is his dad still cornering him?
Yep.
See, that kind of stuff makes me sad. I don't like that.
Yeah, it doesn't work for Sage Northcutt. It doesn't work for Jake Matthews.
Old school boxing guys would school me on it, and they're like, look at Lomachenko, look at all these guys. But like, even Lomachenko's dad, like that's not quite right. What's going on there? He's like, I knew he'd be a champion before he was conceived, and all this stuff. It's like, ooh, like it gets weird, man. I don't know. I don't think it works for MMA either. And then you got Eric Silva, who's supposed to be all the hype, pretty boy.
My number one rule from 2015 on to the present is don't pick Eric Silva in a fight.
Yeah, that's has he won a fight since? He must have squeezed out one or two. He wouldn't be in the UFC.
Lewin Chagas. It was a bit of a come from behind even.
Chagas. Wow, that is a name to be like, I won against Lewin Chagas. This is the dude who beat Josh Koscheck. It's the dude who beat Jason High, if you remember how good Jason High was back in the day.
The Koscheck fight it's almost 3 years ago.
Fuck. Wow, man. It's weird. Hey,
Just
look,
you saw it.
Yeah, weird, man. Hey, he's a super talented guy, but yeah, I really do think that USADA blow killed him. I think Meehan could get it done. I don't know. I don't like either of these guys.
No, fade both of them if you can, but you have to pick. So I'm going Jordan Meehan because I refuse to pick Eric Silva. Nothing against him, but I don't think he's a good fighter anymore. I refuse to pick him.
I think that's pretty solid. Alessio de Chirico? Chirkoro? Yeah, I know him, but I can't place it. Against the Holy War Angel, the Bambose. It's always good to see a Bambose on the card. You know, it's going to be weird fight. It's going to end bizarre.
Yep.
You know, he's going to get knocked out. He's going to knock some dude out. Except for that weird fight against freaking the mutant, Cesar Mutante.
Yeah, he started out so good and just faded.
Yeah, right. So, you know, it'll be fun, I think, no matter what happens.
Yeah, I think if the Chirico wins, it won't be as fun just because it'll mostly be him surviving early and then grinding Bamboche out late, who tends to gas a little bit. I'm favoring Bamboche here a little bit. You know, it's hard to be confident in Olawale at all in any fight, but I think he gets back on track here. Give me him by knockout.
Yo, did Chico roast the dude who Eric Spicely triangle choked?
Yes.
That, I think, says a lot right there. So my pick is also the Holy War Angel.
All right.
I always want to add more to that nickname. Like, it's already long, but I always want to be like, he's the Holy War Angel of God.
He had a different nickname, though. Something about a gorilla, I think. Not
what?
To steal from.
What?
Go on to the next fight, and I'll
How dare you, good sir? Oh my God, I got it. It's the Lion Gorilla.
There you go.
All one word. Jesus Christ, that is terrible. It is funny, and I'm going to use it. I'm into it a little bit, but it's fucking horrible when you're the Holy War Angel. What the fuck, dude? John McDessie is fighting Abel Trujillo. That's fucking fun, man.
And this was supposed to happen a couple of years ago, I think.
Yeah, that would make sense, right? This seems like a fight that could have happened around 2013, and it'd be an exciting, cool, fun fight. I really like McDessie, but the punishment. I still can remember Donald Cerrone hitting him with that head kick. Lando Venata hit him with the fucking wheel kick of death. So, how long ago was that?
It
seems like a century. Oh, okay. So he's taking a good long break. That makes me feel better about it. And Abel Trujillo hasn't fought in fucking forever.
He got choked out by James Vick in February.
Okay, wow. So maybe he's coming off some sort of injury. But there's two fun, exciting fighters that have hardcore names.
Yeah, I'm going Abel Trujillo. It's hard to be confident in John McDessie just with all the injuries he's had, the broken jaw. I don't think he'll ever be the same, and I think he's slowly declining. I don't think tons of Abel Trujillo as a fighter. I think he hits hard enough, though. I think he's wild and might actually be able to get in McDessie's face. John McDessie is a more technical guy,
yes.
And the farther the fight goes, the bigger
McDessie.
Exactly, because Abel Trujillo doesn't have a good gas tank. McDessie, he hits hard, he throws hard, but he still can go 3 rounds for the most part. Trujillo can, but kind of struggles to. I favor Trujillo, probably inside the distance, but it's a bit of a toss-up.
Yeah, I kind of like I think your analysis there is kind of spot on. Abel Trujillo can thump, and he's used to sparring a lot with dudes who are much more technical fighters than him. So this is a fight that he'll probably be comfortable in and won't be too discouraged if he's behind a little bit. John McDessie is going to be better technically, has better tools, but he got that broken jaw, and you don't recover from those. So, I'm going to go. I think Abel. We got the flyweights. Tim Elliott. He was supposed to fight Justin Scoggins, but now he's fighting some dude, Pietro Menga, which sounds like petroleum and then Japanese comic books, but.
I wish this was still Elliott versus Scoggins.
It'd be fucking dope, right?
That was an amazing fight. Fortunately, Scoggins
pulled out with a broken spine.
A bone in his spine. It was not exactly his spinal cord, but it was like something in that area.
Listen, it doesn't matter. It's like when spinal,
Yeah. It's aggressive. Manga, as long as he hasn't been fighting scrubs, he's 13-0. This guy might do some good things. But I don't know anything about him, so I have to go Tim Elliott. And I think Tim Elliott is good, despite losing his last fight to Ben Wen. I think this guy, because he's so big for the division, because he's so crafty, his striking's awkward. I mean, his nickname, I think, is awkward. At least his Twitter handle is awkward MMA. The guy is pretty talented. I like Elliott here.
Yeah, man. He does have that weird grinding style, but I thought his loss to DJ spoke volumes to what he's able to do. So, I don't know shit about this other kid, so what the fuck am I saying? But yeah, Tim Elliott, you always kind of go and think,
Yeah.
they're gonna do all right. I'm gonna look into this. I'm gonna look into this kid, see if he's fighting scrubs, crushing cans, or if he's for real. All right. After that, we got Chad Laprise, and he's fighting Bofando. Bofando is known for spiking Chris Ward's head against the canvas, knocking him out. Kind of Charlie Ward, Chris Ward, whatever the fuck his name is. But yeah, Galore Bofando, fantastic name. Chad Laprise is like a sneaky good fighter. He's a much better fighter than I think people give him credit for. I think Bofando's kind of beastly and like kind of a grittier fighter and just more relies on power and brute strength and shit like that. So Chad could get this done by decision, but he better watch his fucking P's and Q's or he's going to go to sleep, man.
Yeah. Laprise is more technical, but Bofando hits like a truck, and I kind of favor hitting like a truck here. So give me Galore Bofando by knockout. I've never been super high on Laprise. He reminds me of a fresher John McDessie almost.
Didn't Chad Laprise win the Ultimate Fighter Canada?
Yep. He beat
Aubin
Mercier, the next GSP.
He beat OAM. Jesus, he's a legend. Yeah, never disrespect the Canadian Ultimate Fighter like that ever again on this goddamn show. Unless Bofando's him, then you're a meme dog.
Yes. So you going Bofando or?
I'll go Laprise.
All right.
Just be contrary to you.
Next, we have Julian Marquez taking on Darren Stewart at 185.
Oh yeah, like what is going on with this fight? Darren Stewart, I guess, is that where everyone's feeling?
He's the underdog.
Really?
So
I'm not pulling anything off of his opponent. Where do I know?
Just that he lives in Kansas City and not Kansas.
Yeah, you know. Oh yeah, that's why I watched that. I still don't know who the student. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, sure, that's a cool knockout, but you know. Darren Stewart, yeah, he fights on like prelims and
he lost to Francis Barbozo. Let's just say that.
Oh, did he? Damn, B. All right, yeah. Let's hope Julian Marquez gets something done. I guess. I don't know. Who cares? This is the one garbage fight of the card, B.
It's actually kind of a good matchup, but whatever.
It's a good matchup. They're both at the right level to be fighting each other. Yeah. Let's be honest, man. This is some like stuff that should actually be on the Fight Pass.
Yeah, that's a good point. Taleb Roberts should be in that spot. Last prelim, Jared Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla, taking on Jan Blachowicz.
The Killer Gorilla, Janet Cannonier. He also, isn't he the dude who brings in that like prayer bag into the stage with like all the weird Hebrew writing on it? And Jan Blachowicz, isn't he the guy who, you know, is normally either knocked out or in boring fights?
Yeah, I asked Cannonier last night about Christmas, and he's like, yeah, I don't do that thing. And I remembered Ariel Helwani did an interview with him because I don't know what his faith is, but it's something.
Like, it's not like straight up like, hey, yeah, I'm a Lutheran, or like, no, hey, exactly. I'm Jewish. It's like something a little off the wall.
Yep. And I remembered that. I was like, oh shit, right? Yeah, I guess you don't celebrate Christmas, but
isn't he from Alaska?
Yeah, he is.
Feel like that gives you the pass to be like a little fucking weird and shit. You know,
of course. He actually trains at the MMA lab now, starting.
Hold on, so we went from living in the fucking Arctic tundra into the desert.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this dude is a weird dude. I'm gonna give Janet Cannonier. I hope Janet Cannonier wins because, like I said,
it was a good interview last night.
And Jan Blachowicz is maybe one of the most boring things that happened to 205 in the history of 205. You almost did the interview
topless.
If Janet Cannonier wanted to take off his shirt in my interview, I'd make him feel comfortable enough to take off his shirt.
I didn't say he couldn't.
Why didn't you take off your shirt just to like get, break the ice?
I don't rule like that. I guess as a pro MMA media member, maybe you should leave the clothes on.
Were you wearing a button down? Were you looking snazzy, or what were we rocking there?
I probably have it on my floor over here. It was just a pretty typical shirt.
You wear a lot of Freddy Krueger sweaters.
I don't even know what that means.
You don't know who Freddy Krueger is?
He's the oh shit. Yes, I do, but no. I know.
Hands? He's the murderer.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. And
he wears that same sweater with the horizontal stripes like you do.
Is that the red one?
Yeah, it's red and brown. That's your true Freddy Krueger one.
You all talked about how when I was ready, I have a shirt like this that's red. It's the exact same.
Yeah,
style.
It's the Freddy Krueger sweater that you like to wear sometimes.
Yep, yeah, exactly. It's a shirt, not a sweater, but in Winnipeg, it's all the same, I guess.
I don't know. You guys knit them thick up there.
No, this is actually a thin.
Okay, I'll believe you.
Yeah, don't need to come to Winnipeg and test out my clothing.
Good,
maybe
good.
maybe stay.
Have Sherry give me the 411, huh? Before she buys anything, have her shoot me a text message with just like yay or nay with the picture, and I'll be like, nah, that ain't good.
All right, so
And
we're both going Cannonier here. Let's move on to the main card. Glover Teixeira, Misha Cirkunov at 205, number 3 to number 7. Interesting matchup. Who do you got? Who do you got?
Misha Cirkunov. Despite getting knocked out by the Wizard of Ozdemir, I still am a believer that he's a force to be reckoned with, or will develop into one. I'm thinking that's a learning experience. It happened all the way back in May. I'm thinking the brain healed. Glover is a dude who is probably reaching the twilight of his career. I know he had like a little bit of a resurgence after losing to Anthony Johnson horribly. He beat Janet Cannonier by kind of just like wrestling him out. He ain't going to wrestle out Misha Cirkunov. It's not going to be that easy. So yeah, I think Misha Cirkunov probably rips his goddamn head off.
I'm actually going to Glover, and the only reason is because I know he's going down. Misha's on the way up. Cirkunov has taken a lot less damage, but I'm not worried about Cirkunov's chin, despite the Vulcan fight. But I think Glover is the better striker. I think he's able to outbox Misha Cirkunov, and I think their grappling's pretty equal. Cirkunov is very good on the ground, but Glover is underrated on the ground too. So I think in general, Cirkunov's on the way up. Glover's on the way down, but stylistically, I think it favors Glover. So I like Glover by TKO midway through the fight.
Glover's a good puncher and a good boxer, but God damn it if he doesn't get hit. It is like the problem with that pit fighting style that, it is part of his lineage. He just leaves himself a little bit too open. I mean, even think about Ryan Bader had him really, really hurt in the stand-up portion of their fight before he, rushed in and kind of got knocked the fuck out.
Cirkunov still has knockout power. He's not a bad striker.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm worried about. And so, like, Glover can outpoint him. It can jab him. It can work behind a jab. But, it's it's MMA. People get hit with shit. And Misha's shit is going to blow up Glover's goddamn head. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going Glover. You're going Misha. Let's move on. Best fight on the card, Santiago Ponzinibbio Gentaboa taking on Platinum Mike Perry. Who is your pick in this amazing welterweight fight?
I'd tell you, but what the fuck did you say? Is Santiago Ponzinibbio?
Gentaboa.
Gentaboa. What the fuck does that mean? You have any idea?
Gentle snake? I don't know.
I love that. You know what? When that's actually true, when I Google it after this, I'm going to laugh even harder. Listen, man, I have a problem, and it's that I really enjoy Platinum Mike Perry, and I'm not even sure if it's a problem. I'm enjoying the fact that I like how much I like Platinum Mike Perry. But his striking leaves a little bit to be desired, because he leaves himself open. He's aggressive. He's wild, but he eats shots. It sounds like I'm saying, kind of what I was talking about with Glover, but it's a different beast. So unless Mike Perry's power is really get something early on Ponzinibbio, this could be a bad night for him. I hope it's not. I hope this fight's just beautiful violence for 2.5 rounds until someone just gets exploded upon, which is probably likely what happens, and it's probably Ponzinibbio. But it could equally be Perry. I wouldn't bet on this fight. This is a scary ass fight. Oh man, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think.
I'm going Santiago Ponzinibbio. I think he's the better striker than Platinum Mike Perry. I think Perry is he's a lot more wild, of course. He's the crazy guy, but Ponzinibbio can bang. He's not a guy to turn down a bit of a slugfest. I think this will be back and forth. I think it'll be competitive, but I think Ponzinibbio just gets the better of the striking exchanges. There's no way this is going down to the ground. Although I guess if it does, it'd be Ponzinibbio on offense. Yes. And so that's just another thing that favors him. But give me Ponzinibbio. I like him. Honestly, I don't know. Mike Perry has a chin, right? He has a good chin.
Forever. He's got a chin forever.
So, I mean, I don't know. I was initially thinking Ponzinibbio by TKO late, but I'll go decision. But I think he cracks Perry hard. And if it wasn't Platinum Mike Perry, he'd probably be, Ponzinibbio would be winning by TKO. But because Perry can take a shot for days, I'll go decision.
It's going to be blood. It's going to be guts. It's going to be a good time. Gentaboa means good people.
Good people. Well, in the cage, he's not so much, but outside, I'll find out tonight. I'm actually interviewing Ponzinibbio tonight.
Hey, as soon as you walk up to him, you gotta be like,
Hey, Gentaboa.
Gentleman! You gotta say it like with the, oh yeah, he's not Brazilian. I keep forgetting. He's actually like Argentinian or something, right?
Yes.
He's Chilean, man. Fuck.
Yep. All right. Moving on. Co-main event. Pretty, I hate to say it, it's a bit of an easy one to pick. Ricardo the Bully Lamas taking on short notice replacement Josh Emmett. Emmett, of course, stepping up for the former featherweight champion Jose Aldo, who fought Max Holloway a couple weeks back. We're both going Lamas here, right?
Yeah, Lamas is good. Josh Emmett, no such of a fighter. If he can out wrestle Lamas, which I think is impossible, maybe he has a shot. He doesn't have a shot.
I just don't know where Josh Emmett is better than Lamas. I mean, let's be honest. He's not better than Lamas anywhere. Lamas, his strength is on the ground, but he's not a bad striker. Josh Emmett was outstruck by Desmond Green. If he was outstruck by Desmond Green, nothing against Green. He's a great fighter, but I think Lamas can do similar things. I don't think Lamas destroys Emmett like some people think, but I think Lamas doesn't even dominate him. I think Emmett can make it sort of competitive, but it's going to be a clear decision for Ricardo Lamas. So give me Lamas.
I think Lamas has a really good shot of hitting him with like a clean counter when Emmett tries to come in on a takedown or something like that. This might be one of these like just blow up great knockouts.
It might be. It might be. And that'd be kind of surprising. I know it's not a mismatch, but not a super close fight on paper. But Lamas isn't known for his one-punch knockout power. But this could be one of those fights where those guys that typically don't have that one-punch knockout power have it.
But I think that Ricardo Lamas, I can't remember exactly what fight it was. It kind of something similar to that happened where he caught a guy coming in and then wrapped him up with a choke. Like,
you're not thinking Jason Knight. I don't think that was a TKO.
Nah, I think he knocked him out. Oh, Dennis Bermudez in the fight that happened in Mexico.
But Bermudez has a bad chin.
Yes, but we didn't know that at Bermudez at that time. Bermudez was like everyone was talking about him as the next hot thing at 145.
I picked Bermudez in that fight.
Yep, it could be that fight all over again.
It certainly could be. Well, let's move on. So we're both going Lamas. Let's move on to the main event. One of the closest fights on the card, if not the closest. Robbie Lawler versus Rafael dos Anjos, former welterweight champion versus former lightweight champion at 170 pounds. The winner supposedly gets a title shot. That's, of course, though, according to Dana White. And so will the winner of this get a title shot? Well, judging by, Dana said it, so probably not. But realistically, they deserve it more than, say, Colby Covington. Great fight. Ruthless Robbie Lawler, Rafael dos Anjos, who walks away with the W in the peg.
I'm thinking that Robbie Lawler walks away with it. I was very reassured by him going 3 rounds with Donald Cowboy Cerrone. The loss to Tyron Woodley to me was like this weird. I don't want to call it an aberration because like it clearly seemed like he was rocked by the power. But I started to worry. You started to worry for Robbie Lawler's ability to take punishment. He took a lot of time off, really rested really well. I was happy to see that. He looked and took a good amount of damage from that fight. And now he still took off a good bit of time because I think that fight only happened like 5 months ago. So it's not like he's backing these up and getting in there and trying to rush to get some last-minute paydays. You know what I mean? Whereas RDA, I know that he beat Neil Magny, but Douglas Neil Magny. I know that he beat Tarek Safdien, but I didn't love how, he didn't look like a ruthless murderer like he did against, say –
Pettis?
Anthony Pettis, Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Nate Diaz, fucking Benson Henderson. So with the weight class change and all this, there's a lot of things up in the air. I really still think he's probably a little too small for 170. I know he probably can't make that cut anymore, and he's probably knocked out because of that cut. So it wasn't that famous story that he fainted before the Eddie Alvarez fight. Yep. That's crazy. So I think eventually once he gets to the highest level here, him being a smaller guy is gonna get exposed and gonna become a big problem. So I lean towards Robbie Lawler, but I do think this is gonna be a fun fight. I don't think Robbie's the same guy he was back in the day. So he can't grit through as much and doesn't have as much pop.
3 years ago when he fought Johnny Hendricks, Rory McDonald, etc., etc.
He doesn't have that level of power anymore, I don't think. Maybe. I could be fucking wrong. I don't know. But, I think this will be fun as fuck.
I think it will be fun, too. I'm going Ruthless Robbie Lawler, although I still might switch. I mean, going into this week, all along, I've been siding with Rafael dos Anjos ever so slightly based off of the fact that I think the striking is close. I think ultimately the size comes into this, and I think Lawler having a reach advantage helps. Being the bigger man, the stronger man ultimately helps. Dos Anjos might look for a takedown here and there, just because I don't think he gets Lawler down, because Lawler has great takedown defense and he's a stronger guy. But Dos Anjos will look for takedowns. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think that'll. He'll get them, as I said. On the feet, it's so close. Both guys are really technical. I think, though, Lawler hits a little harder just because he's a former middleweight. He's been at welterweight for a long time. Dos Anjos hasn't been at 170 for long. He will be undersized versus most people. He certainly will be versus Lawler. I was leaning Dos Anjos at first, though, just because he's the fresher guy. I feel like we probably thought he was declining after the back-to-back Alvarez and Ferguson losses, but now he's sort of rejuvenated in 170, kind of like Donald Cerrone did. He's won a couple in a row, Neil Magny, Tarek Safdien, and he's looked great in those wins, but not so much Safdien, but definitely Magny. But stylistically, it's not a fight that really favors him. It's going to be a stand-up fight, and Lawler being the stronger man, the bigger man, I think this favors him. Give me Robbie Lawler. I don't think, as you said, he's not the man he was even a couple years ago. Pretty much up until the Tyron Woodley fight, he's changed with that knockout loss in July of 2016. But I think he can get through it, bite down in the mouthpiece a little bit, throw down, and get the job done. So give me ruthless Robbie Lawler by competitive decision over 5 rounds. Let us move on. We don't have very long to talk about it. And by the way, for anybody listening, maybe anticipating gets it, doesn't get it, or dumb questions, we are unfortunately skipping those segments this week. So if that's what you're here for, see you later.
Yeah, because Nicholas is the Grinch, motherfucker.
I'm the Grinch. I don't want to do dumb questions or gets it, doesn't get it. Our segment, I don't like our segments anymore, at least for this week. But let's talk about a little bit about George St-Pierre. That was really bad. That was...
I gotta like our segments. This show's very trite.
Anyways, GSP is no longer the UFC middleweight champion. Robert Whittaker, the interim champion, has been promoted to middleweight champion.
Does he get it or does
disputed? GSP, of course, vacated the title. He says because he was just diagnosed with colitis, very bad sickness he's going through.
Poop disease.
Yes, and it was
blood.
It was perhaps related to ballooning up. Moving from 170 to 185 pretty quickly. But let's be honest. Was it just the fact that he's suffering from colitis? No, it's because he's not going to fight Robert Whittaker. We knew that going in. We knew that forever. He's not going to fight Luke Rockhold, not going to fight Yoel Romero, Jacare, anyone. He's not going to even fight Chris Weidman. He's not even, I almost said he's not going to fight Michael Bisping. Then I realized it did happen.
He beat Michael Bisping.
Yes, I almost forgot. I don't know how, but we know it's because he doesn't want to fight the big guys. He knows he's not right at middleweight. He's not a middleweight. He's a welterweight, and he wants to fight people his size that he has a better chance against. I don't think he wants to fight Tyron Woodley either. I don't think that fight happens. He knows what he wants, and I don't think it's Woodley. So therefore, it's not going to happen because GSP gets what he wants. He's that big.
You know who GSP fights next?
Conor McGregor.
Nah, because I don't think that ends up happening because you can't make that fight now and other weird stuff's going to happen. You know who I really think GSP fights next?
Nick Diaz.
Yeah. Because it'll be random, it'll be oddball, and it can be a pay-per-view they can make without a title fight in it. Yeah. GSP's going to fight Nick Diaz, people.
It could happen.
And maybe this time he won't take him down. It'll just be blood and guts and glory.
It might just be that.
That'd be awesome.
We're on the same page.
They should fight in an MMA fight where no takedowns are allowed.
Yeah.
Stockton rules, motherfucker.
In Fresno, those stand-ups were terrible.
Oh, yeah. Let's get Mike Beltran in the fucking to ref that fight.
Yes. That is amazing. That is a great idea.
Mike Beltran is the patron saint of Stockton.
Frank Trigg made his reffing debut in the UFC. He actually did okay, considering the rest of the refs were pretty much
some motherfucker hopped on the Middle Easy Twitter feed and was like, Frank Trigg sporting a little bit of a beer belly. And I was like, shut the fuck up. Frank Trigg was awesome. He hasn't fought in years,
of course.
He isn't sporting a beer belly. If you even look at the pictures, he's got like much less.
Even if he is, good for him. He fought for years. Now he can, drink a little bit and eat a little bit.
Yeah, say some shit like that to him while he's at the bar having a couple good ones. He'll pop you right in the goddamn mouthpiece.
But I'm happy that GSP is no longer the middleweight champion. I'm happy he didn't hold on to the title for a long time while he's out with the colitis thing, while he's just not wanting to fight. Like, thank God he's not going to go down to 170 fight corner while the middleweight champion, he's still holding it. I'm just happy the middleweight division hasn't been normal since June 4th, 2016, when Bisping knocked out Luke Rockhold, and it's finally returned back to normal. The best middleweight in the world is champion. That's how it should be. And,
he's fighting Luke Rockhold.
It's a great
It's almost
fight.
like the whole Michael Bisping era is getting just like washed away.
It never happened. I mean, he's number 7 in the world now. Kelvin Gastelum just knocked him out. GSP's nowhere to be found. Yeah, I'm glad that it's over because it was fun in a way while it lasted. I didn't mind Bisping Hendo, but it got a little tiresome when Bisping was out for a year and he was still the champion. And I'm glad the best of the best is at the top. And the thing is, more than anything, I'm happy for guys like Yoel Romero because Yoel Romero has a legit chance of getting a title shot now.
Yeah, if anyone will fight him ever, the scariest man alive. So yeah, Robert Whittaker's fighting Luke Rockhold. That's great. The only disappointing part about the whole weird middleweight saga with Michael Bisping is that Dan Henderson didn't win that fight in England, where that he clearly won. Yeah, too bad.
Is that it? Are we good?
That's it. I'm good.
All right. Episode 141 of the MMA Circus is in the books. Thank you all for watching. We appreciate it. You can find myself on Twitter at Nick Baldwin MMA. Go check out Bloody Elbow. All of my work will be there. And also, all of my interviews will be on this YouTube channel exclusively. Plus, some of them will probably find their way on Bloody Elbow. That will be played by ear. But of course, I have talked to already Julian Marquez, Olawale Bamboshe, Nordine Taleb, Glover Teixeira, Josh Emmett, Jared Cannonier. And I think that is 6 of them. I am talking later tonight. Most likely, not for sure, Santiago Ponzinibbio. I'll also be talking to, for sure, Tim Elliott. That is happening in less than an hour, so I got to get out of here. Also, we'll be talking to James Krause, who is in his corner, perhaps Zach Cummings.
The James Krause?
The James Krause, the one and only. So check those out. All of my interviews are up. The Taleb and Cannonier ones will be up in about 5 minutes as soon as we are done recording this. Andrew, let everybody know where they can find you and all of your MMA journalism that's full of integrity, as I always like to say.
Actually, my journalism is on the next level right now. We've been crushing it. Find us at middleeasy.com. We really are blowing up over at middleeasy.com. We got 2 more writers on staff. Desmond's out there killing it. We got the podcast that the boys in New York City, Dan and his comedian buddies are throwing down, so you can subscribe to the Middle Easy podcast if you want, something that's a lot more raw and a lot more comedy based than our breakdowns of MMA fights. But yeah, check me out. I'm there on the weekends. I'm running the Twitter feed. You can find me on Twitter at The Clown Kid. Shout me a holler. Peace.
Alrighty. Well, you can find the MMA Circus here on YouTube. Thank you, of course, if you're watching live. We appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, we appreciate it as well. If you're watching on Bloody Elbow, fantastic. Go check them out for the best MMA news, coverage, etc., etc., etc. You can also find us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Pocket Cast, Google Play, TuneIn, Player FM, Overcast, Podcast Addict, and pretty much anywhere else you can find a podcast. Usually used to not just be the only place was SoundCloud, but now
we're not on SoundCloud. We finally cracked.
SoundCloud was shitty, but we're on it now, so it's great. Yeah,
no fuck SoundCloud. We're still not friends with them. Fuck SoundCloud forever, but we're on SoundCloud.
Yes, that is pretty much everything. Like us down here, comment, subscribe to the MMA Circus YouTube channel. Go check out my other shows, Beyond Combat. We'll be back next week. Before the Battle with Jed Meshew and myself, we'll be live later tonight. Go check that out as well. We'll be talking about this card we just talked about. And that is pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. For Andrew the Clown Kid Lawrence, my name's Nick Baldwin, and we are out.
What up, Sherry?